Universal Force TV.
Dear viewers of Universal Force TV, I wrote and published a novel in Tamil in the year 1984 with the title Raji Idu Unakaga. Now, Mr. Premkumar of Samyuktha Computers has brought out the novel in audio video form in English. The characters and incidents in the story are imaginary. Please see, hear, and enjoy.
Video 5. Raji, this is for you. Author. Universal Force, Bala. Chapter 4. Raji's Kingdom. The feeling of love for Rajeshwari in Chandran's mind did not diminish after he spoke openly to his friends about it. Instead, it increased more and more. Circumstances also helped. Chandran somehow felt that Rajeshwari was the most beautiful woman in the world, that she had all the qualities he liked and that she was the woman he had been looking for. While going to college, even as the new BSA bicycle carried Chandran, a white pigeon named Raji kept flying in his mind. Chandran did not ride the bicycle in a straight line keeping to the left side. He would overtake all the people in front of him as though they were lazy, go to the middle of the road, then pull back and look like one who had achieved some new success, with excitement and happiness on his face. It was Rajeshwari who gave the feeling of success to Chandran. He could spend ages imagining about her. Rajeshwari gave Chandran enthusiasm, energy, and a new commitment to life. He stood like a colossus in Raji's mind as well. When he thought of this, he was excited. As soon as Chandran sat down in the morning, he would open his desk drawer and read the book from where he left off the previous day. Usually when his peers saw him and said, "Good morning, Chandra," he would reply, "Good morning, boss," without taking his face from the book. The kulusu on the ankles of Raji would announce her arrival. The sound of the kulusu would indicate the speed of her walk. Raji's energetic nature attracted Chandran. No matter how much she attracted him, Chandran would not look at her when she entered the room or sat on the chair. As soon as she entered the room, she would open her desk drawer and put her handbag inside, while looking at Chandran sitting in the second chair in the row opposite her seat. Even though Raji was in his heart, Chandran would not reveal that fact easily to the real Raji who was in front of him. Chandran's gentleman appearance, serious gaze, complete commitment to the work he was doing, free from modern fashion craze yet modern, and not lacking in youthful speed, made Raji think of him. If I have such a man, what else do I need in life? Though Chandran was slipping from Raji's hold, she was determined to trap him in her net. How beautifully I have dressed today. Stupid fellow! Shouldn't you look at me straight? You think that you are a high court judge. I don't know when this yogi will break his silence. Raji would curse Chandran in her mind and start reading some book. That day, even though she was looking at the book with her cheek on her hand, Raji's mind was eagerly waiting for Chandran to lift his face from the book and look at her. As usual, without testing her patience much, Chandran lifted his head, looked at Raji straight and said, "Good morning, ma'am." As if the long-awaited post at last arrived, hiding her happiness in the name of civility, Raji kept her eyes in one straight line with Chandran's eyes, and replied, "Good morning. Take a good look at me. Am I beautiful? Do you like the dress I am wearing today? What in life are you running so fast to catch? My beauty and my love. What can give you more joy than these two? I'll give you pleasure in plenty, make you my slave, and see what I do with you. Do you think I don't know your desires?" Raji's eyes lit up with questions. "Raji, you are beautiful today. You are beautiful every day. The love and affection you show to me break the iron door of my heart. You have the strength to block the path I am on and make me stumble. I agree. It is not difficult for me to throw you out of my path, The truth is, I myself desire you to cross my path. I know that there is pleasure and happiness in your beauty. But, Raji, don't imagine that you can enslave me forever. That is impossible. Chandran's eyes answered. By then the bell rang. Okay, ma'am, I have class. Chandran left with the book and the chalk piece. What class? Concealing her disappointment at not being able to continue her chat with Chandran, Raji asked an insipid question. Subject, predicate, object, as usual. What to do Massachusetts, Em? Smart people do MA and then go on to higher education. Dummies like me start again from PUC. Chandran couldn't stop laughing. Don't fuss. That's what all the lecturers do. Raji rebuked Chandran's teasing of the lecturer job, and Chandran got scared. Mom, don't tell others what I told you. My department people will tear me to pieces. Raji bit her lip to control her laughter. By then Chandran had crossed the room door. Let it go in its way, said Chandran to himself, and let his relationship with Rajeshwari grow. He made no effort to make that relationship grow. At the same time, he did not want to break the relationship. Contrary to Chandran's expectation, but as he secretly desired, Raghuthaman spread to his close student friends that lecturer Chandrasekhar had invited him to a party and talked about Rajeshwari after getting drunk, with the condition that this should not be unduly publicized. The news spread as a whisper throughout the college. Raji openly told other lady lecturers about Chandran's affection for her. The message spread among the girl students with the details given by Raji. It became a routine for male and female students to argue about this matter and add salt and pepper to the story. They concluded that if a male teacher and a female teacher fall in love and get married, that would be a good example for everyone. When the news reached the English professor and the principal of the college, they did not directly ask Chandran about it. They decided that Chandran is a wise man. He can think and act responsibly. He will not develop relationship with a woman with wrong intentions. If both of them want to love and get married, we have no right to stop it. Chandran Raji love gave a kick to some girl students. They stood next to Raji's chair to get first-hand knowledge about it. Chandran was always found reading or writing. They started the conversation by praising the editorial he wrote in the college magazine. Chandran was happy. Thank you for your appreciation. If all my ideas are to be conveyed, we should start a daily newspaper in our college. He expressed his interest in the field of writing. Among the students who stood in a crowd, Vijaya, who was studying economics, asked Chandran the question he liked most. Have you written any stories or articles? Chandran replied with a smile. Yes, I have a file full of my scribbles. If you want, tell me. I will bring it. But after reading them all, don't curse me. Vijaya wanted to know the thoughts hidden inside Chandran. Well, when will you bring the file? She asked bravely. Although other students had the same desire and interest as Vijaya, they did not have the courage to ask for it. Chandran replied to Vijaya, there is no auspicious day for this. I will bring it tomorrow itself. I too have been looking for a good reader. If Miss Vijaya is that reader, I have no objection. Chandran continued reading the English magazine he had in hand and discontinued the conversation. The group of students asked Raji in a casual way about family, saris, and going to the cinema and dispersed. The next day, as Chandran had expected, Vijaya came with her friends. When Chandran saw her, he started speaking without any hesitation. Vijaya, here is the file you asked for. Things I wrote when I had nothing else to do. Read them when you have nothing else to do. Vijaya took the file and wanted to instill confidence in him. Why are you demeaning yourself like this? She scolded. Bible says that whoever humbles himself will be exalted. I follow the Bible. Chandran replied with a pitiful face, which made Vijaya and other students laugh. Even when you speak, you sound like a writer. Okay? See you. As Vijaya was leaving the staff room, Rajeshwari yelled at her for not talking to her, saying, "Hey Vijay, come here." After talking to Vijaya, Rajeshwari sent her away. Raji was irritated by the students' involvement in Chandran's writings. She felt that if other women got close to him, he would forget her. So, she decided to somehow stop the students from coming and talking to him. Chandran's love poems, wedding wishes, incidents of his childhood, essays on unrelated topics such as faith in God, communism, short stories mixed with obscenity, reviews of popular English novels and plays were taken out of the file by Vijaya and her friends. They took them home and read them. Chandran's joy knew no bounds. His happiness was reflected in his words and actions. Suddenly he started giving importance to Vijaya. The thoughts that were idly sleeping in Chandran's mind took shape as poems, stories, and essays. The thought that Vijaya would read all of them became the impetus for him to write more. He wrote page after page. 3 days later, Vijaya and her friends came and returned the file to Chandran. "Your writings are all good. Send them to magazines," they advised. "If you're starting a magazine, tell me. I'll give you the copyright. But I can't bear to see my writings being trampled upon mercilessly in a magazine office." When the students laughed at what Chandran said, he too joined them. Ever since Chandran and Vijaya developed a writer-reader relationship, the magnetic power of the romantic relationship between him and Raji began to wane. Chandran got many readers through one reader named Vijaya. So, he became involved in that relationship. Raji, the girlfriend, was beckoning Chandran to drown in pleasures and indulgences. Chandran decided that it was better to lose Raji's relationship, as it became clear that pleasure and happiness would take him nowhere. He avoided saying good morning to Raji for weeks. He didn't care about the turmoil in her mind, but Raji was smarter than he expected. She understood that the reason why Chandran drifted from her was his friendship with Vijaya. She knew that if she broke off that relationship, Chandran would seek her relationship again. One day Raji called Vijaya and opened her heart to her. "Vijaya, you know very well that I am in love with that man. Now he has lost interest in me because you come often, read everything he writes and praise him. He has become arrogant and is neglecting me. I can't bear it. Please cut back on his relationship." Vijaya did not see Raji as a lecturer. Now, Raji looked like another woman to Vijaya. Unlike Raji, Vijaya had no plans of falling in love with Chandran. Also, Vijaya wanted Raji's love for Chandran to fructify. "Well, from tomorrow, I'll stop receiving papers from that guy. Is that enough?" Vijaya's assurance gave Raji the much-needed relief. She went back to her seat with a smile of victory. "Mr. Chandran, I didn't have time to read the paper you gave me yesterday. Relatives have come at home. There is a lot of work. I don't get free time. When I get time, I will come and receive your papers myself." Vijaya returned the paper she received the previous day to Chandran without reading it. Chandran's face was a bit pale, but he managed to put up a brave look. "So what? I am not giving you any fees to read. When you find time, please read," he said, and proceeded to read Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which was in his hand. Even though Chandran's eyes were fixed on Julius Caesar, thoughts were running fast on his mental screen. What is the reason for this sudden change of Vijaya? She has read obscene stories in the beginning and expressed her opinion without frowning. Someone must have intervened and changed her mind. Raji did not want Vijaya to get close to him from the beginning. Would Raji have done this? What does Raji lose if Vijaya meets me and appreciates my writings? Raji never liked any girl getting close to me. Of course, Raji doesn't hate me, but she refuses to say openly she likes me. She wants me to beg her for love and affection. She chases away all the women who come close to me and sits in front of me like the Nandi of a Shiva temple, saying, "Look at me, look only at me, talk to me, talk only to me." Chandran brooded over Raji's behavior. Then he came to a conclusion. Let alone the right and wrong of Raji's actions. What if I love a woman who is committed to me to such an extent? Why should I hesitate to enjoy the pleasure and happiness that love brings? Chandran changed his course. He started showing affection towards Raji again. Both Chandran and Raji were free during the last period that day. The two English lecturers in one corner of the room and Rukmini Natarajan, the mathematics professor, in the other corner, were doing their work as if they had nothing to do with the Chandran-Raji talk. "Good evening, ma'am." Chandran spoke to Raji again after several weeks. As soon as Chandran said, "Good evening, madam," Raji's raging anger for his not talking to her for so many days disappeared. She replied, "Good evening," with a longing that he should continue to talk to her from now on, blushing with youth, spreading a smile on her sad face, happy to see his eyes after a long time. Chandran continued, "Why is your face dull?" Although happy that he was showing interest in her face again, Raji managed to hung her neck and said, "Nothing." "There must be a reason. The body is unwell, or mind is unwell?" Chandran asked as if he was rebuking. She didn't want to miss the chance he gave her. "I'm not feeling well," she replied bluntly. Chandran understood what Raji wanted to talk about. However, he didn't have the courage to stop the conversation. "What's the problem? Tell me. I'll see if I can help to solve it," he continued. "I don't have any big problem. All my friends are married. I'm not married." Even though she said it without hesitation, Raji's eyes were filled with tears before she could finish. She took a handkerchief from her bag and wiped her eyes. Chandran felt embarrassed to see a 21-year-old girl crying childishly, saying that she was not married. Since it would make the situation worse if he offered words of comfort out of pity, he tried to deal with the situation casually by speaking in a slightly indifferent voice, pretending to be untouched by her actions. "Is this a big problem? You are beautiful. What is the difficulty in finding a groom?" he asked her, like one of her own friends. Chandran expected Raji to say something implicitly about her love for him or her desire to marry him. But her reply left him disappointed and shocked. "They are looking for a groom at home. Horoscopes are not compatible. Even if they are compatible, they are over 35 years old." Chandran's head spun around. "I loved her, thinking she was madly in love with me. I have spent hours dreaming about her. I have confided in my friends about my love for her. From what she speaks, I don't think that she ever loved me." In his signature style, Chandran injected humor into the conversation, stopping the questions that were rapidly rising in his mind. "Fortunately, I don't have this problem. When I was in my 7th standard, my father showed me a palm leaf that was 3/4 eaten by termites and said, 'This is your horoscope. If I go and ask now, even that quarter of a palm leaf will not be available. Only if there is horoscope, you can see if it is matching.'" Concealing his shock and disappointment, Chandran contented himself with teasing a social belief he disliked. But Rajeshwari was angered by Chandran's joking about what she was saying seriously. In order to satisfy her and put an end to the conversation, Chandran left for the library saying, "Rajeshwari, if I can help you as a well-wisher in your marriage matter, I will." That night Chandran asked Nagesh to come to his lodge. He broke open the bottle that he had already bought and poured it into 2 glasses, said "Cheers," and after drinking the first round, he got straight to the point. "Nagesh, I have called you here today to speak about an important matter. The heroine seems to be a dangerous person. She falls in love with me when she comes to college. When she goes home, she tells her father to find a groom. I don't want to give place to this harlot in my heart anymore. Now I remember a Pillayar temple in Madurai. If you want to worship that Pillayar, you have to look past the bandicoot in front of him. Similarly, every day when I go to college, this devil sits opposite to me. I try to change my seat. No lecturer is agreeable. If I speak to her, this devil sits on my head. Nagesh hurriedly interrupted. Dude, I told you at the beginning. You are the one who gave her place in your heart and invited trouble. Chandran drank his second round and smoked his cigarette as he sputtered out the words without any break. Nagesh, I am not blaming all women who go to work. But 25% of them are prostitutes. If they are really prostitutes, there is no problem. But it is problem when they pretend to be virtuous and sit next to us. They want the honor of a woman living as a wife to her husband at home. They walk around the office baring their teeth as if ready to sleep with 10 men. My mind will be at peace only if I torture Raji to death. Seeing the emotion in Chandra's voice, Nagesh smoked his cigarette and agreed to listen quietly. He mixed the second round. Chandran, though dazed, spoke with utmost clarity. I can imagine how many men like me have lost their peace of mind because of these prostitutes. It is very difficult to track down all these women and punish them through law or social force. In a somewhat ancient way, the men involved should punish all these women individually. Unable to bear the pain of punishment, they must spit out the truth. We are not truly virtuous, we only put on a disguise. I don't know what this society is going to do with them, but it will help men who are involved and have affairs with women other than their wives to walk uprightly without feeling guilty. If Rajeshwari gets married, I will not stand in the way, but I will do my best to ruin her married life. It is not difficult for me to achieve. If I awaken her feeling of love for me, hidden inside her, every day, that is enough to ruin her married life. I do not bother if my name is tarnished by doing this, but when Raji's true mind finally comes out, this society will have to put down its head in shame. I am not drunk and blabbering, Nagesh. I drank today only to speak the truth. Chandran finished pouring out his emotions. As Nagesh prepared to leave the room, he said what was on his mind. Chandra, I am happy that you have understood Rajeshwari correctly. But don't develop such revengeful thoughts. Your life will be ruined. Oh, Nagesh, on the way down, ask the lodge boy to buy me only 2 chapatis and leave. Thank you for the company. Good night. Days passed. Chandran smiled and spoke to Raji from time to time, but looked at her like a goat waiting to die at the altar of false beliefs. Raji also realized that Chandran didn't have true love for her as he used to, despite smiling at her. She was confused as to why. One day Raji gave to Chandran Kuraloviam, written by Karunanidhi, and asked him to read it. In it, the beautiful appearance of a young woman and the way she pined for her lover were described with literary elegance. After reading it, Chandran praised Karunanidhi's writing skill as a one. Raji was not satisfied. After a minute's pause, as if remembering something, Chandran remarked, "Ma'am, you came to my mind while I was reading it." Raji widened her eyes and asked, "What do you mean?" "I said you came to my mind while I was reading it," Chandra replied emphatically. "Does he say that I am so beautiful? Does he understand my heart's longing for love?" Raji was unable to sit upright, in a dazed mood. She leaned her chin on the bound book on the table. But Chandran, who had already overcome love for her, said to himself, "Hey Ram, still this girl has not overcome madness." After a few minutes, as if showing himself to be a very civilized man, he said, "Madam, if I am wrong, I am sorry." Raji said nothing. She slowly shook her head as if she had spent the first night with him. The next day, Chandran didn't say, "Good morning." Rajeshwari waited for 15 minutes. She had no more patience to wait. What Chandran spoke the previous day gave her courage. What are you seriously reading? You can't see I'm here? She asked. Chandran wanted to end Raji's hide-and-seek game that day. He decided that Raji, the stumbling block, should be removed forever or made useful to him. Chandran put down the book in his hand and looked at Raji. He didn't start with good morning. For the first time he said, Raji. Raji's whole body got goosebumps when she heard the man who used to say Mom or Rajeshwari now say Raji. For many days she had wished for this intimacy. She looked at him with a smile and surprise. I'll come straight to the point without beating around the bush. Thou want to follow my path or the path of this world? Think and answer by 4 o'clock today evening. Chandran said nothing more and went to the bookstore. When Chandran called Raji, thou with intimacy and a sense of belonging and talked about the matter they were postponing for so long, Raji felt very happy. But when he spoke of my path and the world's path, and instead of expressing his love politely, he rudely threatened, seeking answer before 4 o'clock, she felt disappointed and embittered. She didn't have the intelligence to think and make decisions for herself. So, she asked her fellow teachers and Vijaya, who had now become a friend, for ideas on how to answer. In the end, she decided to sit silent without answering. As it was Wednesday, as usual, neither of them had class in the last period. When it was 3:30, Chandran himself spoke, fulfilling Raji's expectation. Miss Rajeshwari, I asked you a question this morning. You have not answered it yet. You may not have liked my question or the way I asked it. Anyway, you have cleared my mind of doubt and confusion. I advise you to follow the path of this world. Forgive me for taking liberty with you and addressing you as thou in the morning. Chandran put a book in his shoulder bag and locked the desk drawer. As if fearing that her case would be dismissed in the court, Raji pleaded, Mr. Chandran, I want to ask you a few questions about that. Let's discuss quietly, without even thinking that he was hurting a woman's feelings. Chandran rudely rejected her request. No, that chapter is closed. Find an old lady to answer your questions. Let me repeat. Developing a relationship with me has the potential to spoil your happiness. Raji, understanding Chandran's anger and speed, replied with a curt, okay, as if to convey that she was not at all intimidated by what he had said. Chandran quickly left the place. 2 months later, when Chandran was sitting alone in the canteen, Nagesh tapped him on the shoulder and said, Chandra, I was looking for you. Good news. Your ex has got engaged, Sriram said. He is a junior officer in the income tax department. Are you relieved now? Okay, give me a treat. Chandran fetched a packet of mixture and grape juice. Surely it is happy news. A big headache is gone. But happiness is not complete. I expected that she would surrender to me and I could use her as I liked. Now that is not possible. I could forget Usha and live in this world. So, it is not difficult for me to forget Raji. But until I get another girl, it is difficult. Chandran did not want to hide his true nature from his close friend. Nagesh smiled and said, I told Sundar the same thing. By the by, who are you going to catch next? Chandran corrected Nagesh. Dude, I do not go in search of anyone. I'll pick up whatever is lying on my way and put it in my pocket. That's all. Nagesh's interest turned in a different direction. Okay. What do you think about the man who is going to marry Rajeshwari? Chandran replied nonchalantly. He is a fool. If he is intelligent, instead of going to her house, he should have come to the college and inquired about her from you and me. When Chandran laughed at how wicked his own idea was, Nagesh joined him. Dude, if your idea is followed, she will not get married in this life. We can apply your idea to all the women who are going to get married. If we do that, these women will be at least a little afraid of us. Thank you for the treat. Nagesh's humor cured Chandran's pain. After hearing the news of Rajeshwari's marriage, Chandran felt relieved that a major problem in his life was solved. But his heart sank when he thought that the girl he loved dearly was going to be someone else's property forever. Earlier, he did not face the painful situation of seeing any woman he loved marry some other man. But now, again and again he sighed and tried to drive away the disappointment and pain in his heart. After a break of 1 month, Chandran started the conversation again with Raji, with his "Good morning, madam," to show that he was neither disappointed nor resentful about Rajeshwari's marriage. "Good morning," replied Raji. Chandran noticed that Raji's voice lacked the enthusiasm and energy it had before. "Congratulations. I heard the good news about you." Raji gave a fake smile as she said thank you. As if something had gone wrong, there was a look of fear, confusion, and sadness on her face, although Chandran sympathized with Raji's plight. He strongly decided not to be a part of it as he realized what it meant to love her even after her commitment to someone else. She somehow wanted to involve him in her life and keep him as a part of her life. As this was a perverse expectation, Chandran moved away from her. Raji asked Chandran to come home for Diwali. Chandran declined the invitation, saying that he was not going to anyone's house. When she brought Diwali sweets, he said, "Thanks," and cut short the conversation. Raji tried to attract Chandran's attention by talking loudly to others about her future husband and his family. He acted as if his feelings were not affected in any way. One day when the two of them were alone, Raji couldn't contain her anguish and cried. Chandran's resolve broke again. After writing a leave application for a week and sending it to the principal through the peon, Chandran couldn't contain the emotional turmoil in his heart and poured it into words with the help of a pen on a sheet of paper. "Raji, why this decision?" "No. The question is wrong. Who decided this way? You don't believe me. You are afraid. If I leave you halfway? Here is my story. Let me tell you. Listen. I loved many women. You came and stood in front of me. I fell in love with you. I saw all my women in you. I lost myself to you. Queen of my heart, I fell in love with your smile. Your beauty enslaved me. I stood with my hands tied. There was intoxication and pleasure in it. Enthralled, ensnared and spellbound, I stood before you for days and months. I asked you, what is life? You had disappeared. Your kingdom had vanished. If addiction and pleasure were enough, I would have lived as a slave to you. I had the ability to think. I had plans. I asked you, wilt thou come with me? You had no answer. I lost patience. Past is a grave. Let us not dig it. Whether you like or not, you are following the way of the world. Please continue your journey. You will get some pleasure. If ever you want to lean on my shoulder, I am waiting for you. Don't worry about me. I know the way to satisfy my needs. My best wishes for you and your fiancé, your unwavering lover." Chandran got typed what he had written the next morning through a friend and mailed it to Raji at her college address. Rajeshwari was shocked after reading the letter. She wished that Chandran would change his mind and accept her as his wife at least then. It was painful for other teachers and students like Vijaya who were close to Raji. No one doubted whether the letter was written by Chandran, even though there was no signature nor name. Chandran was firm in his decision. He spent his time going to the British Council Library and reading books. He told only Nagesh about his letter to Raji.
Friends, we shall meet again next Friday at 8 p.m. Bye.